No, and the finger always does that.
Fingers always put a smile on. Hi, everybody, and welcome to a different edition of Conversations on Being with the BYCFs. And this time, you got two of us on here. My name is Rachel, and I've got Dr. Helen with me, Helen Gitlovich.
Hi,
And
everybody. And
hello.
this is a conversation on right now with social isolation. We wanted to talk about being alone, but not being alone,
Never actually being
never
alone.
being alone. Yeah.
Definitely inappropriately never alone. And also, today is September 10th, and that's Suicide Awareness and Prevention Day, officially the day, although this goes on for, I think, a month and
A month or
followed
two
by,
months. Yeah.
there's a mental awareness month, I believe, for the month of October. And so it's a really interesting time, especially after so much quote unquote isolation or the attempted isolation or the fear that's put us into isolation and everything else that's isolation, and all this stuff that comes at us from the outside world to have a space or an opening or a recognition that something else is available and we really aren't as alone as we've possibly even imagined ourselves to be.
Because how can be alone when you are one with the universe? It's
Well,
only yeah, it's our isolation that makes it alone.
exactly. That. It's our isolation that makes it alone. But I'll say, on a personal level, I've had multiple times in my life where it did feel like the universe, and I say feel because it's something that I
It
perceived. It
is
wasn't
in the
actually
body.
mine. But yeah,
Yeah.
I was taking it in and creating it as mine, that I was alone, or that the universe was there maybe for everybody else, but it wasn't necessarily there for me. And that created a sense of despair, a sense of sadness, a sense of like profound aloneness. And most
And
of it was
depression.
prior to having the tools, but even after having the tools, I would find myself in situations where really it just felt like everything was closing in or that there were no possibilities and everything was like living within a black hole. And I'm very grateful to you, my friend, because when I was going through a deep and dark period, you came with questions. So you came with questions that allowed me to see that something else was available. Because I know the tools, but sometimes we don't have our own backs and ask them. So
And a
this,
lot of times with those questions, I'm glad you're talking about it because that alone piece, a lot of times it's a conclusion because we decided that we're alone.
yeah,
A lot of times, what happens, at least with me, I would read even people intentions, people's thoughts, people's actions, not what they were.
yeah,
Because a lot of times it's the judgments of what is in front of us, the conclusion that we have, put me in depression, put me in anxiety. I didn't know what it was. And yet, with the tools of access, as you said, asking the question, being the question, it changes things because then we actually contacting our awareness. People say, what is awareness? You can call it intuition because people who are listening might not know access speak or access vocabulary.
mm,
It's about feeling the internal gauge, internal clock, internal something that gives you that, oh, that's what it is. I know it. But it's so soft. It's almost like a whisper,
yeah,
not that loud voice of reasoning. And I remember talking to a lot of people before Access. It's like, your voice of reasoning has to be blah, blah, blah. Voice of reasoning, words of wisdom. all of that might not be true. A lot of that voice of reasoning is that heavy and contraction that we put on ourselves, and that's what creates that isolation and that feeling alone, because we put the protection, the barriers, the boundaries, healthy boundaries,
Yes.
like a lot of people call them, but do they actually work? Do the healthy boundaries work, or do they keep people at the arm's length so we would be alone and we would be depressed and not letting anybody in that can contribute to us, that can actually ask those questions or be there for us, that we are not even aware in that 10 seconds?
Yeah.
And what if it's more to the universe than we know or what we think we know? Because we know much more. We
Yeah.
have that intuition, we have that awareness. And my invitation right now, just close your eyes and just sense the world around you. You don't have to do anything. The only thing I'm asking you to drop your barriers and just sense. You might pick up a lot of thoughts that running through your head. You might be picking up a lot of emotions. And for a second, just notice, are they inside your head or are they outside your head? Those thoughts, feelings, and emotions. How much of that is actually floating in the air around your head or around your body? That's not inside of you, like not in the head.
No.
Which brings me to the point that 99.99.99% of all those thoughts, feelings, and emotions do not belong to you.
Well, I think that's actually really, really huge. I was
Mhm.
diagnosed when I was, I think, 20 or perhaps 21. I can't quite remember. I was diagnosed as being bipolar. I was severely depressed beforehand and medicated, but I hadn't realized that all of those shots of lithium and all of those pills that I was taking and all of those things were as a result of something called awareness. Like I was aware of different people around me. I was able to perceive, and I had no idea, no word for it, no explanation of it. That's why I'm so grateful for the tools of access that showed me that I'm aware. Like I
Yeah,
would have been the first person to tell you that I'm not aware. And yet, everything that I was being medicated for, everything that I was being diagnosed for, was actually extreme awareness that I took and personalized and
mhm,
made relevant because I didn't get that I could perceive it and it didn't have to mean anything specifically about me. So I would take anything that I perceived, any sadness, any misery, any, like I was telling you before we went live, that I'm perceiving a lot of sadness and a lot of um, aloneness in my world right now. I realize it isn't me, it isn't mine. That tiny bit of recognition, this does not have to be or mean anything about me, is such a huge key to freedom. And
mhm.
nobody is told that earlier. People constantly try to patch up or medicate or give another prescription or give some sort of diagnosis to explain the misery rather than, you know what, we're so aware. And all those flying by thoughts, feelings, and emotions that you were mentioning, they're everywhere. And
Yeah,
when we're so aware, more psychic than we've ever realized, we turn it against ourselves, not realizing the capacity that we have.
yeah, because we're like an antenna, like a radio that's picking up all those waves, those vibrations, and translate it into our own feelings, thoughts, and emotions.
Mm.
Because if something matches the frequency, it's like a resonance.
Yeah.
It literally resonates with our frequency. So if we are in that isolation, social isolation, and even if we are feeling a little bit down, that thoughts, feelings, and emotion that are down on the same vibration puts us even lower. Just like happiness is contagious, so is depression. So,
Yeah.
but somehow a lot of people pick up depression because it's easier to go down.
Yep.
It's sliding slopes. And instead of choosing something different, choosing to be around people who are happy, joyful.
Well, Helen, I'm going to admit this. Now I'm probably one of the quote unquote happier people that I'm around. And most people who see me now they don't believe that I was anything other than this.
Hmm.
But if I could go from black hole, suck all the happiness out of the universe kind of energy to being bubbly and being at ease and playing and joking and being punny and choosing happiness, it's possible for anybody, okay?
Yeah.
Anybody can have this if I could make that leap. But that it's so much easier to kind of vibrate down than
Hmm.
then recognize that we actually have a choice to move beyond it, because somewhere in that dark hole we look at it as if we buy that lie that we're alone, and it's sometimes it's not even a cognitive decision that we make of I am alone. It's just this, like, not recognizing how we're all kind of connected in communion with one another. We don't recognize that play and with everything and everyone. If we'd allow, I'm sitting on a balcony with beautiful plants around me that are contributing to me. If when I allow them in, I recognize that my being here contributes to them, and they are contributing to the classes, to the chats, to the conversations. They come in and play. There are two cats that are running around here that could be going somewhere else with ease, but they're contributing their energy to what's going on here. And that's a, a joy for me to see we're not alone. And this one's like pretty determined, like, show me, you know,
Yeah.
I'm here, I'm walking around, I'm creating movement. And that's another thing with when I was in my deep, dark despair, I didn't see a light at the end of the tunnel. I didn't see that there could be a different choice available. I didn't see that there could be movement.
Yeah.
And that gift of just any sort of movement begins to rock you out of the solidity of that truly a lie, even though we don't look at it as a lie. It seems so real when we're in that pit of despair, but it is a pit of despair. It is not you. You are not that pit of despair. You know,
No. And what's interesting, you don't have to believe us. And you don't, the idea is just choose one tool, because a lot of times it's overwhelming when you look at things and oh my god, there is so many tools in access consciousness, there is many tools out there, different modality, different things. What will help? Because I remember the time when I was depressed and anxious and all of that, I was looking for that magic pill that would
yeah,
change all of that.
yeah,
And it's not always a magic pill, but it's a lot of times small baby steps that can get you out of it. And one of them is, as I said, thoughts, feelings, and emotion might not be yours. And just by using that simple tools of who does that belong to, what if you can shift that?
yeah. I'm gonna
And
make a
I
little
can
habit
see
of
the,
that.
yeah, and I can see the mantra of access. All of life comes to us with ease, joy, and glory. Just saying that 10 times in the morning, 10 times at night. I know a lot of times you look at that and it's like, what kind of life of this joy and glory when I'm so depressed? Because Dr. Dane here was talking this morning, and when he first saw that mantra, he got angry because his life was not is joy and glory. And when I heard that too at the time when before access, I also got angry. What are you talking about? What life of ease, joy, and glory? But you don't have to believe that to use it. You
Yep.
can just say it in the beginning, not believing it just. And what I found when I say that mantra of all of life comes to us with ease, joy, and glory, or all of life comes to me with ease, joy, and glory, if it's easier for you, a lot of times it shifts so much energetically for me that if I didn't say it, because I'm perfect, right? I do everything perfectly.
Hmm.
Not, not. So in the mornings where I forget to do that, by about midday, I already know that it's not the ease because things started kind of like piling up and stuff happens, but I'm creating it. It's about choosing different. And now we have across the screen who does that belong to? Where does it come from? For every thought, feeling, and emotion we perceive. And Access has a free app on a smartphone. Apple, Android, doesn't matter. You can download it and it reminds you to ask those questions. Pick one of them or both and see what it will create in your life. As I said, don't believe us. Don't kind of like look at it as something, oh my God, it's going to change my life. Something so important, so heavy, and so significant that it actually will block the tools. Access is about playing. And I know depression is so bad sometimes.
Yeah, there's no play or movement in depression generally.
No, generally. But this is about I'll just try it. I'll just use it for the sake of using it.
Fuck
Maybe
it. What's
because
the value of not using it? Might as well just take a step, just a
baby
step,
step.
and just experiment. Yeah.
Just a baby step. Just using that phrase. All of life comes to us with ease, joy, and glory. And just repeat it for the sake of it 10 times in the morning, 10 times at night. And
Or
see,
even more, you and I have made a beautiful conversation about it that's available on my YouTube channel, on your YouTube channel, where we really delve into the mantra of access, the all of life comes
mhm,
to us with ease and joy and glory, and beginning to open up to receiving literally the gifts of the universe all around us if we're willing. And it's a
exactly.
willingness. It's a willingness to move out of being stuck and create some sort of movement that begins to open up the
And
possibilities.
if you actually desire a change, you might look at the websites. Rachel and I have our websites, Facebook, and there's a lot of tools that we did for free. YouTube channel, where you don't have to spend money, just watch it
Yeah. Oh,
and
and Dr. Dane here has a beautiful YouTube channel as well with
yeah,
all the tour of consciousness videos. They can explore so much on the accessconsciousness.com. You can sit there and those tours of consciousness, they make me laugh because I mean, I've watched them since like 2011 or something.
me
And
too.
I've even taken some that, just as it occurs to me, because sometimes I watch it, enjoy it, and I don't even think to share it. But I even made a playlist on my YouTube channel with what I call gems from Dr. Dane, and I
Mhm.
add them there because they create that movement that we're not freaking stuck. Now
Yeah,
we might think that we're stuck, but we're not because it's actually an illusion. And I love that about the tools of access. Take us out of this that we tend to get so wrapped up in our heads and the stories and the things, and we think that they're all us rather than recognizing, if I know not this, if something else could be possible, what would be my next baby step? or
Yeah.
my next little tiny movement, whatever it is. Or it could be a huge movement. You know, this asking, who does this belong to is huge because it allows you to begin to honor you and recognize how perceptive you are, how aware you are, how freaking amazing you are, and to recognize that all that stuff that's out there, you're really good at picking it up, but it doesn't mean anything about you. And you can expand it beyond, like, when you perceive somebody's judgment, it's not yours, even though it may be going
Right.
through your head and your own voice.
Yeah.
And yet, it is such a gift when we're willing to see beyond and choose
Exactly.
beyond.
Yeah. So, what if you just choose something more and just by asking those questions, who does it belong to? Where does it come from? Or the mantra, see what changes in your life. And if you'd like to explore more classes, Rachel and I are doing a, a class, which is a telecall because we are uh, in social isolation, but you don't have to be alone. You can be together alone on a Zoom. Create more time, more money, more joy. And it's
And
going
more
to,
space for you in your
yeah,
life, and
more
more fun
being.
in the future, and more being you. So I received such a gift from the Being You classes, from the Being You book, from recognizing that even though I may have had this thing in my head saying that I'm all alone, or that the universe isn't there for me, or the possibilities don't exist, and that may have been the old program that was running. I recognize when I begin to embrace everything, all of life, everything, including
Yeah,
possibilities, including little sparkles, little places where I can just begin to smile, little movements that I can make, little ways that I can begin to appreciate, like the cat that jumped in my lap, or the raindrops that I can see at a distance. There's with everything, if I can begin to recognize the connection of everything and everyone around us. In access speak, we call it communion. But in that communion, everything has consciousness: the molecules, the chair, the computer, the internet, the raindrops, the plants that are here. And if we can begin to receive the greatness of everything that's there trying to contribute to us, and we can recognize the contribution that we be to that, we won't ever think that we're alone again.
yeah. And what else is possible if we all choose just a little bit more joy in our lives instead of depression? Because just as I said, like we pick up other people's vibration, thoughts, feelings, and emotions. If we start changing and choosing more joy, other people might choose more joy because it's also contagious. Joy is contagious. So when you walk into the room when people are happy and smiling and laughing, what happens to your body? What happens to you? You smile,
Yeah,
you choose more,
you lighten up.
you lighten up. So what if we all choose more? What if we all choose vibration of joy, happiness, and ease
I
instead
like
of
that. The more I laugh at myself, the more everybody else can laugh with me. And if
yeah.
you don't believe that joy is catchy, that laughter is catchy, go do a little experiment. Walk down the street and start smiling at people. Now, I realize, okay, here in Guatemala as well, we're supposed to wear the masks.
And in the States,
Your
we have the masks too.
eyes smile. And
Yeah.
people, because I did this at the grocery store the other day, I would make eye contact with people,
Mhm.
smiling under my mask. Even in your voice, you can hear the smile, right?
Yeah.
It carries through. What if you begin smiling out at the world and at the universe and see and at yourself in the mirror? Even if things just look dark and dismal, give yourself a hug, give yourself a smile, and know A, you're not alone. B, we got
You're
your
not
back. The
alone.
universe has got your back. You are not alone.
And
And
three,
there
you're
are,
not alone.
yes, for sure. And actually, I'm going to put up the website over here again. This is the first year ever since this has begun where I'm not doing the free bars sessions. I
Hmm.
used to organize them in
Me
Antigua
too.
and here in Guatemala City, and I'm not able to do that right now. My
Yeah.
office is closed because there are no windows and it's very enclosed. So that's not working this time, but there are lots of facilitators and practitioners who are gifting sessions. Reach out. We're going to be we're available. You can see what's available, with us and with all the different facilitators. See what you can choose and what's going to work for you. And like we said before, there are so many free resources. There are so many conversations that can invite you to move beyond where you are right now. And that movement is going to be that choosing for more in your life. So, what can you add that will create more of an opening, more joy, and more ease for you?
And you might search for just laughter on YouTube because there are also videos when people just laugh
Yeah,
and see if it's contagious, and maybe you can raise your vibration just by watching somebody else laugh.
yeah.
'Cause you're not alone. You are not alone.
And anywhere and everywhere that you thought you were alone, and again, that's a thought, it's not really the truth of you, and you are not your thoughts, feelings, emotions, or points of view. So, everywhere you've made that real and true, and it really isn't, will you destroy and uncreate it all? Right and wrong, good and bad, pod and pock, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. So sometimes we pick up on stories from other people and we think those are the truth of us. Mm-mm.
It's
You are
not.
a masterpiece in unfolding.
Yeah.
Helen's not the same person that I saw, for example, before we co facilitated a class on Monday and Tuesday. I
No,
perceive the energy before the class and I perceive the energy after the class. I'm not the same person that I
you're not
was
the
going
same.
into
I'm not the
class.
same. And the world is not the same.
Exactly. So,
And
what gift are you that hasn't even been you haven't well it's not that it hasn't because it doesn't matter what other people perceive or not. What gift are you and your interaction with the world, what does that create that you haven't even acknowledged? And if you think that you're anything less than a miracle walking on two legs, what would it take to change that? Because you've come here with your choices, with your energy, with your contribution to see the world in a different way. Your very being is A, required, and B, a gift. So, what would it take to begin embracing that?
hope we'll see you someday in person.
Hope so. I hope so. Or
No,
whatever we can contribute to today or any other day, feel free to
reach
follow,
out.
subscribe, share, subscribe, reach out. I don't know how people do stuff. You can reach out to both of us. We're available everywhere. Oh, I forgot. There's this. This has
Yeah,
ways that you can reach us. The link tree for Helen and for me has the links for all the different ways that you can reach, be
website
it
and
email,
yeah,
website, Facebook, etc. So we look forward to connecting with you in the future, and just know that
just smile.
that is an amazing world, and we're very grateful that you're here on it with us.
And
So
you are
thank
a
you.
gift to the world. Bye.
Bye.